Our next speaker is Mr. Ali Mehrabi. He is a human rights activist. He would like to talk about Yarsan, and it's one of the minorities in Iran. I would like him to start his speech, please. Greetings and gratitude to all of you for having given me this occasion to address all of you. Unfortunately, violence and discrimination continues towards the Yarsan group. The Islamic Republic of Iran continues its activity to discriminate, to oppress, and to prosecute the members of this group. The majority of the centers of where we assembly, the places where we gathered actually are places that were paid by our own members. All of these places were banned, and they were all confiscated by the government. They have obliged the people of Yarsan, they have banned them from having their own assemblies or their own celebrations. They are obliged to go to the Shia mosques and to have their meetings there. And this is one of the ways that they want to use to oppress us and to take our identity from away. In March of this year, one of the soldiers from Yarsan, who is a member, who comes from Dalahu, he was forced to change his religion and was forced to say his obligatory prayer. And what he did, he committed suicide as a result of this pressure that he was put on, because he had said before that if I continue being under pressure, I would kill myself. After the death of this soldier, his will was taken from his family, and they were threatened that if they talk about the reasons behind their son's suicide, they would be in trouble. And after that, when he was buried, the government officials were present there, so no one can actually talk about this person and why he committed suicide. And one of the groups have actually started talking about this case and they were actually detained. But as a result of his speech, he was stopped by some of the government officials. And I had some photographs to show you, but unfortunately we've had some technical problems and I'm not able to show it to you today. After these protests, the people who were gathered, they forced to be silenced. They were under threat. They were obliged to keep silent, and they were threatened that if they continue their activity, their life will be their life will be in danger. And when the family wanted to actually put the stone at the cemetery, they wanted to put something about the pressure that this young man has suffered from, and as a result of that he committed suicide. The family received threats from the government, and they were obliged to take away the stone. From that, you can see that this group of Yarsan, the community of Yarsan, we're not even allowed to write anything on the stone of our dead ones, of our loved ones. Many of our properties are confiscated, and unfortunately the place where this soldier is buried, the stone was taken away, and I had some pictures ready for you to be shown here, but unfortunately I'm not able to show it. And so, as a result of all this, all this situation of not having any rights for the community of Yarsan, many of our children are obliged to kill themselves, to set themselves on fire. They protest and they show how the government is trying to oppress them. Many of these people were arrested by the government officials, and they were under threat, and they are being under threat that they will be killed anytime. And unfortunately, when the burial was taking place for this young man, and it was the only place where these Yarsan groups were able to get together, and they obviously talked about this case, and the government officials oppressed them. And the difference between the Yarsan and the other minorities in Iran is that a group of them live together in a specific place in the geography or in the map of the country, and so obviously they have more the opportunity to get together because they live in a special part of the country. And the government officials, they come among these people, and they observe and they monitor the activity of this community. Unfortunately, the community of Yarsan is not allowed to have their gatherings, or they don't have no right to assembly when they want to actually show their rejection to what they have, the pressure that they are put under in the different meetings or in the burial of this young man. They are oppressed by the government. In one of the films that we've seen in Tehran, Hujjat al-Islam, a religious leader, in a program that is called Chess with the Devil, he talks about the Yarsan community, and he talks about the Darawish Qadiri, and they show some images of them, and they relate that to the subject of their talk in that TV program, and they calumny the Yarsan women, and they say the Yarsan women, they become they actually have non-acceptable or not acceptable relationship with other men, and they say that they are sisters and brothers, but they're really not, and so they accuse, or actually better to say, they calumnize the Yarsan women by doing and saying so. What we've seen after that is that from the Yarsan group, who have participated in many of these meetings, and they have been very successful in many of these programs. Unfortunately, they were under a lot of pressure. Their properties were confiscated. They were obliged to leave the country and to seek asylum in other countries. I don't want to take your time, and I have nothing more to say. I think these human rights activities that we have are very important for all the different societies that we have in Iran, and especially for the Yarsan community. It's an essential subject or topic that we're talking about, and we have to strengthen this arm and really hope that all the Iranians and all the Iranians in Iran and outside, we all unite together, we put our hands in each other's hands, and we can unite together, and we can help the people who live in the country in a terrible situation. Thank you so much. Thank you, dear Mr. Mehrabi.